Hello and welcome to another episode of Oh So Curious. We are back. I'm back, and I've got John with me today as well. Angelina is going to be popping in later on to join us on the show. And today we've got a jam-packed show. Of course, we have got the breaking news that literally broke minutes ago. I didn't even get a chance to update the thumbnail, but here we are. We're going to talk about Superman has now officially wrapped production. James Gunn posted about it. We're going to dive into that. We're going to talk about what that means for the movie. Superman, of course, is coming out July 11th of 2025, whereas Fantastic Four, coming out July 26th of 2025, hasn't even gone into production until today. The same day that one movie wrapped, the other one's starting. I mean, we're going to get into the implications of that. We, of course, have lots of other Marvel news to talk about. We have got to talk about Doctor Doom, Comic-Con, the whole weekend. We have got all the Deadpool and Wolverine records to get into. Of course, we've got Batman Cape Crusader reviews that have come out, and we've got lots more even beyond that. We're going to look ahead to M. Night Shyamalan, the Shamhammer's new movie called Trap. Is it just going to trap us into another bad movie experience, or is it going to be actually good? We're going to dive into that. And so drop your comments down below, hop into the live chat, hit that like button if you haven't already, and smash the subscribe button if you haven't already. And if you have, then hit the notification bell. One of you did not do that, and you did not get notified from our last show. So we're going to address that later too. But to do that and so much more, let's get the show started. Well, hello there, John. How are you doing?
Looks like my camera froze again, so I
That's
will just be like this for a bit.
Yeah.
My Wi-Fi is a little bit wonky today. I apologize, but other than that, I'm doing okay.
Yeah. How did yesterday go? Since you were
let's not talk about that. Let's not talk about that. Let's just move on to this show.
I'll tell you what, John. I'll give you a second to figure that out. But I just wanted to, share with you guys just, while John figures his stuff out and while Angelina hops in, just a gratitude again for the channel. You guys are here watching us live. We're really appreciative of you guys showing up here each and every day. You've gotten some really good comments from you to talk about later in the show. I've literally got Angelina telling me right now that she's trying to log on. So John, you're going to help us out with that. Get her on. Oh, there you go. He's back. Okay.
There I am.
So thank you, of course, for watching and tuning in. And we're, as we always do, we're going to start the show with a bit of the news. So let's do that. It doesn't seem to matter what I do. I'm always number two.
All right, mister, I need to paint my abs on to get nominated. You don't see Robert Downey doing that.
You're kidding. You're kidding. I can't open the envelope without the...
Warner Brothers is heading back into the Matrix with a new movie in the works.
What the hell is even that?
Okay, I'll shout it from the rooftops. I want to be Bruce Wayne.
I like that.
And you're gonna love me.
What the world needs now?
Give me a hand up. Nope, I'm actually okay. Thank you very much. Oh, wow. Wow.
Why does he look so sad?
David, why are you so sad?
Yeah, why is it? You know what? Superman has no reason to be sad today because Superman just wrapped.
That guy can shut up.
So yeah, we're gonna update that intro. We're gonna have to update that intro soon. But yeah, we're gonna start off the show by talking about the news as we always do. John, the biggest news in the world of movies was San Diego Comic-Con.
Yes.
Now, San Diego Comic-Con is an event that takes place over the course of a few days. And one of the first big events of San Diego Comic-Con was a surprise screening of Deadpool and Wolverine, where we saw not only, of course, Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds and Sean Levy, the director, all the guys, Emma Corrin show up. But then they brought on some of the surprise cast members who were these epic cameos from the movie itself. And that basically, set off quite the next few days for the movie Deadpool Wolverine, because today, on Tuesday, we can tell you that not only did Deadpool and Wolverine like break all kinds of records over the weekend, coming in with $211 million at the domestic box office, which let me see if I've got that here. Yeah, we're gonna get into this. There's so many. I was digging through this. There's a lot to get into. But Deadpool Wolverine, it kicked off with $211 million at the domestic box office, and I believe it made like 438 at the worldwide box office.
Yeah,
that is insane. But today I was looking at this article on Deadline, and it talks about how it's continuing to rake it in. It's got like, it's got over 24 million on a Monday. I know it's summertime, it's July, but it's just like, what are your thoughts on just how big this movie is? It's gonna make I bet it's already past $500 million.
Yeah, like people have joked that this movie has made more. I mean, it's true. It's not even a joke. It's just true. Where Deadpool and Wolverine has made more in one weekend than the entire Marvel's run, like the last few runs of movies. So yeah, it just goes to show that I mean, this is something that people have wanted to see for years. They wanted to see Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds on screen together, and you know what? That's it's simple, but you know what? People love these characters. And you know what? This is a movie that was not from the current era of Disney. So people are like, oh yeah, because famously Bob Iger did not greenlight this. It was Bob Chapek who
because he was retired.
So,
I mean, the dude was retired. Come on, like
defense. But I'm just saying, like, just like we owe a lot to that, even though his whole thing was like controversial. But it just goes to show that you know what, these people just love. These fans just love these characters and just want to see them. And you know what? It's simple. Two guys fight against, evil, bald ladies who just want to conquer the multiverse. Like, you know what? Fuck it. Let's go.
Dude, it's a movie that when they put it into production, well, not even then, when they first announced that Hugh Jackman was coming back, everybody was like, oh, okay, this is a dream team already. But then the marketing picks up. Like we see the behind the scenes footage. There's a big 20th Century Fox logo in the ground, and they're fighting next to it. It's some kind of Mad Max Fury Road kind of a thing. And then of course we start to see the marketing build up. You get the popcorn bucket. They're literally showing up in every big city around the world. All of that.
Heineken commercials, you got the silence your phone ads, you got all this shit.
You know what? I tell you what, like AMC should pay them good money to replace their normal, what is it like?
Please, for the love of God, get rid of Nicole Kidman
and just bring those guys in,
please. And then no, get rid of her. I will gladly take Hugh Jackman telling me to stop jerking off in the corner of your grandma's resting home to fucking silence your phone and blah 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 blah. I'll gladly take that over fucking this place is magic, fucking horseshit, pretentious horseshit. So you know what? Screw it. I'd go with it. AMC, do it. I'm sick of Nicole Kidman. AMC has single-handedly made me hate Nicole Kidman. I hope you're happy, guys.
They did pay her a lot of money to basically update
like
the commercial.
$25 million.
There's a new version of the commercial. It works, I guess, for them. But look, as far as what works for Disney, which needed a hit, and quite frankly, they went from suck to Inside Out 2, which is now the second highest grossing animated movie of all time. Because quite frankly, I don't think the new Lion King can count as a live action movie because it wasn't. So yes, if you don't count it, then technically Inside Out 2 is not the highest.
I don't count it because it's not a movie. It sucks. So
but I'm just saying, on a technicality, because the whole thing was freaking live, like animation, except for the one live action shot of the sun at the beginning of the Lion King, the new Lion King. But anyway, point is, they have Inside Out 2, and now they have Deadpool and Wolverine. This movie is a love letter to the X-Men universe, and as such, it is just showing up and showing out. So I just wanted to kind of take some time and dive through some of these records, right? Earlier, I mentioned that this movie dropped in the US and Canada, which is what we count as domestic. So that's, I don't know why we don't count Mexico as domestic, but US and Canada is $211 million. And it made $444 million worldwide. That's including domestic. That's huge. This is, I believe, like the third highest domestic opening weekend of all time and the 8th highest overall opening weekend of all time, which is crazy to think about. And when you look at that list, most of those are Disney movies, like in Star Wars, Marvel. And it just, to me, these numbers are just mind-boggling. Just think about it this way. The biggest opening since The Way of Water, 439 million. That was a big, and that, now Avatar pulled that 439 million without doing like 200 million domestic, because everybody around the world loves Avatar. But you look at all the records, John, like which of these numbers stand out to you the most? Because we were talking about The Lion King, being one of the highest grossing animated, if not the highest grossing animated movie.
Because
it surpassed its opening
at least
weekend,
it's
too.
if it's the shitty Lion King, not the good Lion King, you know, then I'll take that. And I think I froze again. I apologize. But I do think that's, that's, I mean, I expected it. I did expect it. I did expect that, because it's like, this was perfect place, perfect time. It was, it was just perfect place, perfect time, great actors. From what I've heard, it's a good story, all that jazz. So, I will gladly take it.
Well, why don't you go and fix your internet while you have
I'll
a
be back.
minute? Angelina, welcome to the show. How are you?
Hey, how are you guys? You guys get to see
your-
the rest of my kitchen today.
But hey, Angelina, what did you think about the movie?
I hated
did
it.
you have Really?
I hated it. I hated it. I
You
was
really?
so mad that I hated it.
Wow.
Right? Everybody's talking about this movie. I walked in this movie like ready to go. I was so excited. I was excited about all the things. No, it was like they vomited up the metaverse. They broke the fourth wall so many times that there was no real storyline. Like it was just Ryan Reynolds taking full advantage of the fact that like he'd already broken the fourth wall and he'd like broken the meta. So like basically every other 3 minutes you get some sort of terrible joke that correlated with like the real world, but then they never built the storyline inside the movie to be strong enough on its own to stand there. Yeah. And I was reading a lot of the critic reviews, and it sounds like all my issues with the movie are really in line with the critics, but the audiences love it.
Yeah.
But I do feel like this movie is for the fans. If nobody had ever seen a Deadpool movie, had never seen a Logan movie, had never walked into a Marvel movie, they'd be like, ew, this is garbage. Like this movie is just for the fans.
Yeah, it's 2 hours of fan service. That's essentially what I've heard. You know what?
But it's too much. Terrible.
We're gonna get into the review of the movie in a little bit later, and we can dive into it in a little more detail. Especially this, we can get into spoilers. We can get into spoilers because we did a spoiler-free review last week. So if you guys haven't seen it yet and you don't want to be spoiled, then go look at that other review. But we will get into the spoilers later on in the show. What I did want to touch upon, though, is of course the financial success of this film. Angelina, this is now officially the highest-grossing R-rated debut for any movie ever, and it beat out the original Deadpool by over like $70-80 million. Like
it is killing it. Literally killing it.
It had a record Monday, like a record Monday of 24 million. It's just, I mean,
well, I was trying to get into different things yesterday, and I was having a hard time. Like, I either had to go see a super, super late showing or a really early showing, and it was like all the theaters were full. I was looking at different locations. Like, this was last night. Like, people are going to see this movie. Like people are going to see this movie. If you are a Marvel fan at all, you're seeing this movie. Like, well,
except me, but that's beside
Marvel, Deadpool. I mean, you even get some cool cameos from like some of my old favorites. I just we'll get into it, but I mean, the record's crazy, wild.
Yeah, it's ultimately a movie that
Yeah.
I think what's good what's speaking in its favor is not only that it's made a ton of money at the beginning, but it's also continuing to make a lot of money as we get into the middle of the week. I know it's summertime and people are, on vacation or school's out, but and by the way, I think I read somewhere that like some 11 something odd percentage of the audience going to this movie are under 18. So people are taking their kids, and Ryan Reynolds also said that this is probably the first R-rated 4-quadrant movie, like where everybody in the family can go see it.
That also
which
helps.
is yeah, which
and then you
honestly
have idiots complaining, why was it so violent? I'm like, did you pay attention to the rating? You have you still have people complaining that it's like already like, okay, the first one you had like Karen's complaining, like, why did little Jimmy have to see like blood and guts? It's like, do you do your research?
Like, why did you take your
be a parent, check out the rating, check out the movie, check out the character, and maybe you won't be fucking surprised.
I agree.
You know what's hilarious?
It's been almost 10 years since this character has been reintroduced in theaters. And it's like, guys, come on. We should be done and over with this. Like,
I can't really say anything to that.
Yeah.
Like, I can't say anything yet because when the first Deadpool movie came out, which was up until this particular, Deadpool Wolverine was the highest opening for a rated R movie. I took my, preteen brother to go see that movie, and they were like pegging.
Wild. He's wild.
I was like, my head in my head.
Like 6-year-olds to see this. Like,
what did I just do?
Movie? That's okay, right? And then
he thought you were the coolest brother for like a solid 2 months. He was like, my brother took me to go see Deadpool.
I mean, but here, honestly, like, I also told him that I had a high C's version of Saving Private Ryan, and that he was too young to watch it, and then he found it himself and watched it, and then he was like, oh my god, that was intense. And I basically told him, like, yeah, it was intense. I told you not to watch. So I guess I was, I had set the precedent pretty much for him. But anywho, I digress. The next point that I wanted to discuss, this is something I'm sure you guys have seen this news. It's all over the internet, because unless you're living under the rock, or not the rock, but living under a rock, pardon the slip there. Unless you're living under a rock, you probably were looking at all this news coming out of San Diego Comic-Con. It's the biggest con, okay, the biggest Comic-Con. But John, you might call
this fucking casting is a con. But
100%.
I knew you were gonna walk into that
con, right?
I have heard a lot of people, including yourself, John, say that this is creatively bankrupt. But can I implore you to kind of maybe just consider the fact that, or not the fact, but consider the possibility that of the kinds of stories they can tell when you have literally, because they're not gonna just like walk past the idea that it's the same dude who was Tony Stark, who had a daughter, and of course, Pepper Potts is still around, and Happy Hogan's still there. They're not going to skip over that. So I'm assuming that lends itself to some storytelling possibilities. Do you think that this is a cast? And I bet you they thought about that stuff too. Like, do you think there's a chance we can get a good movie out of this?
No.
Like Avengers Doomsday.
I'm gonna be so mad.
See, it's funny. It's so funny that Deadpool and Wolverine come out and everyone made fun of me. That's like, oh, you're not seeing it because of Logan. Now people are up in their britches of like with Robert Downey Jr. Oh, they're ruining what Endgame did. And guess what? That's how I'm feeling with Deadpool and Wolverine. Guess who's not the asshole now?
Yeah, but like they're completely changing comic storylines. Like they're completely changing the steadfast narrative that we've had for 10 years. Like them bringing back Wolverine, like they found a way to explain that. How do you explain? Like you can bring somebody back to life. You can't bring somebody back to life and make them an entirely fucking new character as if the last one didn't exist.
He's gonna be playing Doom from a different universe. That's what I think they're aiming for.
I think that because this is very much going to tie into the whole Secret Wars multiverse sort of a saga thing, right?
So,
by the way,
Tony Stark becomes, instead of becoming Iron Man, he becomes Doom.
No,
He's
his name is Victor Von Doom. That's the character. His
That's the
birth
character.
his birth given name is Victor Von Doom. He didn't have a lot of options in terms of supervillainy, but he Victor Von Doom, and then he eventually he's a doctor, kind of like how Doctor Strange is just his name. That's what Doctor Doom is. That's just his name. His name is just Doctor Doom, and so he's like, fuck it.
Yeah,
But it's ridiculous. I also love how depressed Joe Russo looks in this picture. Like his brother Anthony is like so excited, and meanwhile he just wants to it looks like he wants to put a fucking gun in his mouth. Like he's like, why am I fucking doing this shit again? I thought I got out of this goddamn franchise. I don't want to do this anymore.
Does this explain his cameo in that therapy group session in the beginning of Avengers Endgame?
Maybe
because he makes a cameo about. I mean, okay, I'm trying to be facetious there, but that's probably insensitive. Point I'm trying to make here, or at least the point I was trying to make before we got sidetracked, is this whole choice that they have made.
Yeah.
The idea of bringing back 3 of their biggest hitters, the Russo brothers,
driven by money. What a shock!
And
Right.
To the surprise of no one.
Money and greed, and they're playing with the fans, and it makes me sad. I don't like it.
Guys, just look at the numbers. This article in Variety kind of talked about they found, I don't know how they found this out, but they found this out. The Russo brothers, Anthony and Joe Russo, are going to be getting $80 million to direct Avengers Doomsday and Secret Wars. Now, that's of course a good amount of money, but they had to split that down the middle because there's 2 of them. But it also says,
allegedly taxes, because rich people don't pay taxes.
Literally,
but
taxes.
If we're being legality about it, wink, wink, then it's split and then split again. But
right, well, but the point is, that's a number. That's a big number. But then you look at the article and you look at the fact that they say the amount that Robert Downey Jr. is getting is significantly more to play Doctor Doom in both of those Avengers movies. I know some people are wondering if they're going to bring him in for one movie and then kill him off. He's going to be in both of those Avengers movies. And
Dr. Doom played a role in the Secret Wars comic, I believe.
Dude, just think about this. Like, does that mean, so they have invested, so let's just say both of these movies are $200 million plus movies. Of that, let's say $400 to $500 million that Disney's throwing at it. They're throwing basically 1/3, almost like half of that money just at the Russo brothers and Robert Downey Jr. alone.
I don't know if it says in this article. I heard that Robert Downey Jr. was getting $100 million.
Yes, no, that's the rough number. I mean, it's not an exact thing, but it's up there. Like I wonder how much they're banking on these movies to succeed, because that's a big bet, right? Like and not to mention, and they say that here. Like these guys, like all three of these guys, and of course probably Kevin Feige as well, they're not just gonna get the money up front that they've signed up for. They probably have profit participation. They have points on this movie most likely. RDJ has always had points on these movies. That's why he made like $50 million for the first Avengers movie. Mm-hmm. So their actual compensation package is probably way higher than that. Like to me, it's just mind blowing that Disney not only are they committing to what is admittedly a bold choice, but they're also they're going, like they're putting all their ducks on, well, not all their ducks, all their eggs in one basket.
There's still the ducks in that basket too. Don't worry.
Yeah, it's just at that point you might as well put everything in that
the ducks, the eggs, all of it.
All of everything but the kitchen sink is going in that basket.
Because Batfleck broke the kitchen sink on Henry Cavill's back, so like we can't really.
But also, that's just what makes me so mad. Like you really couldn't choose anybody else. You have to now change the storylines of multiple comics. You have to now change the storylines and like delve into the metaverse in order to do like why can't you just fucking cast a new Doctor Doom? Like
there is some precedent
because they can't live without Robert Downey Jr. That's essentially what they're saying. They're like,
I mean,
this guy was
the money. That's what makes me so mad. Is he made them so much money? They're like, we'll pay you a fraction of that to come back because we think you can do it again. It's like
he's gonna. I mean, clearly, I don't know.
Look,
It's just
we're gonna have a lot of time to dissect this because
Yeah.
the first of these movies, Avengers: Doomsday, comes out in
Years
2026,
away, yeah.
which means they're likely not filming until next year. And then 2027 is when Avengers: Secret Wars comes out. I bet you that we're gonna get Iron Man back in that movie, and Downey Jr. is probably Robert RDJ is gonna probably play both Victor Von Doom and Iron Man in that movie.
What if they have
Plus,
a face off? That'd be kind of cool to see.
Yeah.
face
It'll
off.
be like Enemy of the World.
They just
Patrick
take their
Troughton did it
masks off
already.
and-
Boom.
It's gonna be fun.
Wow,
It's
you
gonna be
look
fun.
like me.
But look, the big thing about this weekend was Marvel has gone back on track with a movie that is clearly on track to make way more than just $1 billion. This movie, John, you predicted last week could possibly hit 2 billion if it starts off the way that it has. And the projections were for Deadpool and Wolverine to at the high end make 205 million. It made 211. And
I thought
worldwide
the high
is
end was
already
360. I thought the
no,
high
no,
end
that was the worldwide number.
Oh, that was the worldwide.
Which it crushed that
Which
too.
it crushed anyway. Okay.
So
I got my lines crossed.
And then of course, with Comic-Con, I mean, I think the rest of the panel at Comic-Con was a little underwhelming. But then with that announcement, of course, everybody goes crazy, regardless of whether you like it or not. It's big. It's significant because you're bringing back the OG MCU person. He's the.
I mean, he literally started
his character.
The MCU.
So it's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be fun to say the least because whether you like it or not, you're gonna get to see RDJ back in a Marvel movie. So we're gonna talk about it more and more as we get more details about who's getting paid how much, who's gonna be in the movie. I'm sure we're gonna be speculating, all about what cameos are we gonna get. Are we bringing back Hugh Jackman again? I mean, it's gonna be fun. But right now, John, I want to switch gears. Let's switch gears from Marvel because you spent the first, I don't know, like half hour of the show talking about Marvel.
I did come prepared. Just saying.
You did come prepared. You did. But guess what? James Gunn does not care if he came prepared because he decided just like 5-10 minutes before the show went on the air and he's got every right to decide to do this whenever he wants. But he posted that it's a wrap. And that's a wrap on Superman. And he had an amazing message. I'm going to read this out real quick. And this is on his threads, on his Twitter, Instagram, wherever you follow him, on whichever social media. He said, God bless our cast and crew, whose commitment, creativity, and hard work, okay, I said that weird, have brought this project to life. I set out to make a movie about a good man in a world that isn't always so much. And the goodness and kindness and love I've encountered on a daily basis on the set has inspired me and thrust me forward when I felt too spent to move on my own. I said that in a lot less a poetic fashion than it is written in, but nonetheless, I mean, the picture here, it shows you all the big players. You've got, James Gunn there. You've got Peter Safran. You can see David Cornsweet there kneeling in the front. You've got Nicholas Hoult off to the side. You've got Maria Gabriela de Faria, who we saw post about literally, was it yesterday or like late last week that she got wrapped on the movie as well? I think it was over the weekend, right? So it looks like, her role was wrapped pretty close to the end of wrapping the whole
Sarah
production.
Sampaio in the front too.
She is, yep. Right there, so she's
Eve Tessmacher, yeah.
Tessmacher, and then there's a couple of faces here we don't quite recognize, but I'm sure they're a significant part of the production team. This is from when they were in Svalbard. Now, this isn't the only part of the message because James Gunn continued on, and continued to thank thanking people from the bottom of his heart. He says it's been an honor. The destination has been Superman, but the journey has been the toil and laughter and the emotions and ideas and magic we have shared together on set. And for that, I am forever grateful. And as I was saying a few minutes ago, James Gunn mentioned that this photo is from their first week of shooting, which they started filming this movie in February 29th. So right at the end of February. And, they were in Svalbard, Norway, which is a very cold part of the world. Hence why they were all, dressed up and standing in the snow. John, I want to come to you with this first because we've been following Superman's production timeline so closely. It's finally done filming. It's a wrap. We know that when you're done filming, that's not the end. In fact, that in many ways is only just the start of production because there's so much work on these movies that happens after the fact. But what are your thoughts on just we spent weeks literally talking about how they were filming all these things in Cleveland and Cincinnati, but now they're done. What does
Yeah.
that mean to you? Like, is there like a level of tangibility this adds to because now we know we're that much closer.
It makes me excited for one specific reason. Now, obviously, there's still filming that can be done, second unit, reshoots. Stuff happens. Like it's not like Captain America: Brave New World levels of reshooting the entire movie like 5 times in a row. But all movies get reshoots. That's never a bad thing.
Mm-hmm.
But outside of that, it gets me excited because we have, and I mentioned this, I forget when I mentioned this, it was sometime last week, but I mentioned how in August, September, October, November, December, January, February, March, April, May, June, I'll say June, that is what, like almost a full year of post-production, which means a whole year spent on VFX to actually get this shit right so it doesn't look like the fucking garbage Marvel has been spewing at us for the past 6 or 7 years, because God knows they don't pay their VFX artists enough, and they spend them over 48 hours overtime and not giving them bathroom breaks. That gives me hope that they'll actually spend a lot, and I mean a lot of time, actually perfecting the CGI that's going to be used in this movie. So that makes me very, very excited, and they'll actually spend time on this, and it'll actually look good. Crazy, I know, but yes, I love that. Thank you for that. That I've seen many memes already, and I appreciate you saying that again. But yeah, that has me excited. But yes, that has me excited very much so.
It's same. I agree with you 100%. I was just
Which makes me even more worried about Fantastic Four since they just started filming.
Well, exactly. So and to that, and Angelina, I want to ask you this because we talked about this a number of weeks ago when we first got the official announcement of Fantastic Four's release date. Now, this weekend, of course, at Comic-Con, one of the announcements that Marvel made was they gave Fantastic Four a new name. Now it's called The Fantastic Four: First Steps, which, I mean, like it or hate the title, we know this movie is set for release on July 26th, 2025. And we know that Superman is releasing on July 11th, 2025. We know that both of those movies went through similar kind of delays or complications over the strikes late last year. And then James Gunn was able to announce that, hey, thankfully, because of the diligent work that they had done, they were able to stick with the original release date. And even with Fantastic Four, they're sticking to the date for now, at least. But the difference is, on this weekend's San Diego Comic-Con, Marvel, once they had the whole cast out in Vegas, they posted the video of that. And in that post, they mentioned, hey, they're going to begin production this Tuesday, as in today, July 30th, is the day where this Fantastic Four movie goes into production. Now, just hear me out for a second. So today, Fantastic Four, or First Steps, goes into production. Today, James Gunn announces Superman has finished production. The movies come out 2 weeks apart next year. Now, of course, Superman comes out 2 weeks earlier, so you might imagine that they want to wrap 2 weeks earlier, not like when one is starting to film and the other is wrapping. Plus, also, when James Gunn initially announced the whole universe of the new DCU Chapter 1, Gods and Monsters, one thing he really emphasized is we're not going to rush anything to the finish line. We're not going to give ourselves a release date and then try to rush our way to it. We're going to get it right. Then story always comes first. Now, you put all those pieces together. You look at the idea of Marvel's going back in the bag and bringing RDJ back and the Russo brothers, as opposed to necessarily like charting a new path. James Gunn made the tough decision of saying, Henry Cavill, we love you, but we're going to move forward in a different direction. And all of that, and now you see the fact that Superman is done filming and Fantastic Four is starting on the same day. I mean, that's not a coincidence, I like to imagine. And they come out 2 weeks apart. What does that tell you in terms of the state of the MCU versus where the DCU is headed? And what are your thoughts on Superman wrapping today?
I don't know. I think every process is a little bit different. I kind of agree with John. It sounds like, and I think that James Gunn is known for this. Back when he was with Guardians, he does take time. He does focus on story. I think that's one of his best storytelling sort of gifts. He focuses and he's exactly. James Gunn is sounding like a real pro. Like he knows what he's doing at this point, and I think I feel better about the DCU knowing that part of it is in his hands versus the MCU and bringing back somebody who's supposed to be dead. Like I just can't. Like I can't with that. With that being said, are they going to really vie for the box office when it comes out? Of course, but I mean, after Deadpool, yeah.
I mean, just John. Like again. What is the comparison at this point? Like let me state this quite simply. Like, I'm going to pose this question to you, right? Do you think it's a coincidence that the same day that Fantastic Four is meant to be starting production, James Gunn goes out there and says we're done. It's a wrap on Superman.
Yeah, maybe. And
is that a shot fired? Especially when you look back at that presentation.
I don't. Okay. I have a feeling
trying to psych people out.
It's like that maybe he actually rapped earlier and then he's only saying it now to be like, little like knife and like a little salt in the wound. Maybe James Gunn is a little troll. We know I mean the man started at Troma, and that's definitely a company that essentially dunks on its audience in terms of disgusting that crap. So it's like, he started off in that, and like, he could be like a little bit of a troll. So it's entirely possible that it's like we're done with this shit. So good luck, guys. Whatever you want to think. Wink. So it's maybe it's him trolling a little bit. To be fair, I don't think so. I don't know. James Gunn just seems like a decent guy, and he just wants to, he's just doing his thing. So it's entirely possible it was just like very coincidental timing, and he just, because I feel like there's no ill will between the two companies at this point. So we will see, but I don't think that's. I want to bat for James Gunn's like integrity a little bit and say it was a coincidence, but I would be lying if I said it would be funny if he did do that on purpose.
I'm just saying, dude. It's when you combine that, like,
yourself some new friends, Ron. Just keep that in mind.
Yeah, I don't think the only thing that really connects the two sets of movies is, they're two sets of characters that are old-fashioned by today's standards. They're two sets of characters that don't really have a moral gray area to them, kind of like Captain America, where Superman, again, James Gunn in that presentation over a year, it's been like a year and a half now since they made that announcement, where he said, the Superman I've always wanted is a Clark Kent who believes in kindness in a world that thinks kindness is old-fashioned. Like that is, to me, the essence of Superman, the character. But I think there's a little more than just coincidence to the idea that Superman has wrapped filming, and they have announced, like you said, maybe he was holding on to it. But when you think about just how adamant he was, because he went on like a mini tangent rant at the press conference after that whole announcement with Peter Safran, mentioning how he not only said that we're not going to rush things into production and get them out for the release date at the and sacrifice quality and put story first, but he also said, I have seen that done before. Like he almost was like, I've been there. I know what that looks like. I've worked under a system where and look, publicly, both James Gunn and Kevin Feige love each other, and to be quite honest, they're probably in real life in every respect. They have a great amount of respect for each other. James Gunn's career took off because Kevin Feige took a chance on him, and James Gunn has paid off Kevin Feige's faith in spades. But I have to wonder, like, even if it's just a friendly shot fired, I think people, especially if next year these movies come out 2 weeks apart and one movie does significantly better than the other, I think people are going to look back and point their, especially if, for example, Fantastic Four's VFX are not good. Like, people are going to point finger to today. They're going to be like, guess what? It was July 30th, 2024, and James Gunn said it was a wrap on Superman, and that was the day that Marvel put Fantastic Four into production.
Especially all the James Gunn haters that are be like, look at this fucking asshole. Look, he's making fun of him, and like all that stuff. So
Yeah.
James Gunn haters and MCU jackoffers, I guess.
Yeah.
You know, like those guys. Which again, I'm not shitting on fans. Fans are cool. Fanboys and girls are very annoying. That's what there's a difference.
Yeah.
The extremes are terrible, but the gigantic net of it, which is like 95% of them, those guys are cool. The crazy ones that are like 5%, fuck them. We don't like them. They're not real fans. Get the fuck out of here.
Well, Angelina, Ron poses a interesting question. What do you think? Do you think Fantastic Four should, or will they ultimately end up moving their release date? Because of course, I know that
I think it's going to be delayed.
It's still a year, but like
intuitively, I'm like, no, it's going to take longer to film than they are speculating. I think they're going to push it no matter what. I also just don't think it's smart to release it 2 weeks after. Like, I think that's dumb. They should give it like a month-long run. I think they're going to push it no matter what. He's so cute.
I'm beginning to really love Joseph Quinn.
I love him so much.
He was so
like
excellent
one of my
in
favorite
day
new
one.
actors.
He was the best character in that movie. I fucking loved him in day one, and then Quiet Place day one, and then obviously he was the best part of Stranger Things season 4. And because of that, he had to die because every nice character that's introduced per season always has to die.
Yeah.
Unfortunately,
he is one of the 75% of this cast and the tone is like is what makes me want to see this. I hope it's good. I want it to be good, but like there's a reason I haven't seen any Marvel movie in a theater outside of Guardians 3 since Thor 4 More Thor. So I have my reservations about it.
Yeah. I mean, look, I remember back when Batman v Superman and Captain America Civil War were set to come out either on the same weekend or a week apart. I know Batman v Superman moved its release date to be at least I think it was a couple of weeks before Civil War came out. And I mean, even despite its bad reviews, BVS still ended up making like almost $900 million. I know Captain America Civil War made a lot more, like $1.4 billion. But yeah, I mean, look, at the end of the day, we now have a wrap on Superman. So let us know, guys. Like, what JB thinks that the date should be moved. Ron seems to agree. Rat 2. I don't know about you, but I think you left a comment. I think coordinating actor schedule and everyone else involved. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it could be because they haven't been able to start filming because they've got Vanessa Kirby, they've got Pedro Pascal, some of the most in-demand Joseph Quinn. Of course. I forget the Ebon Moss-Barack, that's his name, right? He's got a really long name. He's in The Bear. He's in demand. These are all actors who've got lots of projects. So yeah, and so it could be because of the schedules. It could be for whatever other reason. But the fact that it's rare that you see something like this where two movies set to come out, especially at this scale. Like both of these movies are big movies for their respective cinematic universes. One is potentially a harbinger of what's to come. The other one is basically kicking off an entire cinematic universe. So it's going to be interesting to see now a year from today, not today necessarily, but a year from 2 weeks from now, right? Like July 11th, actually less than a year. What am I saying? Less than a year from now, we're going to find out which of these movies is going to do well. And we're going to keep following the timelines. Of course, whenever we get any kind of news regarding both Superman and Fantastic Four, first steps, FFFS, for fucking fuck's sake. We're going to get into that. And I'm sure we're going to cover it a lot more. But that was the news. We've got lots more to get into, guys. There's a lot more to come. But if you have been watching so far, then thank you for tuning in. And as always, hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button. We appreciate it. Hit the notification bell. There's one of you guys who didn't do that, and then you were talking about how you didn't get a notification when we went live. Well, that's what that button is for. But hey, coming up next, we're going to get into Deadpool Wolverine once again, but this time instead of just talking about how much money it made, we're going to talk about just how good or bad it was. And Angelina already has given us some thoughts on that. So let's get into that. We're going to get into it with spoilers. We had a non-spoiler review last week, but now it's time to get into the spoilers. And Angelina is going to give us some. And then, John, you already know some of them, even though you didn't see the movie. So we're going to talk all about that. Stick around. We'll be right back.
To all the Marvel fans, this movie, our careers at these roles have meant so much to us. We owe very much to your support.
We are so excited to see it. The fans are loving it. You're giving them what they wanted with Deadpool and Wolverine.
My entire world needs you.
You got the wrong guy.
Shake on it. Ah! Nicked it. Just got the tip with your little steak knife.
Well, welcome back to the show, and it's now time to talk about Deadpool and Wolverine. It's a movie that is breaking all kinds of box office records. Not only that, it's a hit with the fans. It's a hit with the critics. Everybody seems to love this movie. There's very few people out there now. We might end up with a skewed perspective on this show because my two co-hosts don't have a particularly high opinion, although we're going to get into why they didn't necessarily enjoy it as much. I personally have been really looking forward to seeing it. I haven't been able to watch the whole thing yet. Don't ask me why. Just, I'm in a hotel room. You could probably tell, I'm a little busy. Things are going on. But, nonetheless, the point is this movie has made almost $500 million in just 3-4 days of release. By the time it gets to its second weekend, given how much money it's making even on Mondays and Tuesdays, it might have made $1 billion. And that success means people are going to see this movie not once, but twice, 3 times, 4 times, however many times, bringing their friends along. And so there must be a reason why. And John, I do want to ask you, I know that you probably have not seen the whole movie yet, but
I've seen like a clip here and there, but that's about it.
But like we were talking about this movie and Comic-Con over the weekend, reviewing the whole Hall H presentation by Marvel. We were talking about the movie last week. We have been talking about it seemingly nonstop. And at this point, social media has probably ruined a few surprises for you anyway. What are your thoughts on the success of Deadpool and Wolverine? Do you think Marvel Jesus did indeed save the MCU, at least from the financial woes of its recent, failures, let's just say? Or do you think this movie is just another one of those, they're throwing shit at the wall, and this is just one of those things that happens to have stock?
¿Por qué no los dos? Why not both? I do think from what I've seen, it just definitely seems like one of those, like, it's just kind of like just everything but the kitchen sink, just kind of throw everything there. And that's like kind of what it is. I heard about the cameos. The cameos were fun. Like, from what I've heard, we finally, got to see certain characters and all that. And it's just, I'm kind of glad I didn't see it, because it's like, if this is all they had, then it's like, okay. Do I think it's not? Do I think it's gonna save the? Oh, fuck no! It's not gonna save shit. Are you kidding me? $1 $2 billion movie ain't gonna do shit for Disney with how especially when the next 2 movies are Captain America, Brave New World, and Thunderbolts. Nobody gives a flying fuck about Sam Wilson.
But
and
now they have the
Marvel's
Serpent
Suicide
Society
Squad,
and then now they confirm Red Hulk is you had Harrison Ford playing Red Hulk. Thunder.
Yeah, okay. Who gives a flying fuck about Red Hulk outside of the 5 comic book fans that know him? Come on now. Yeah,
but it's Harrison Ford. It's Han Solo. It's Indiana Jones.
But like,
I'm just saying, come on.
This is just, we love Hugh Jackman as Wolverine. We love Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool. There's a lot of fan service. People miss the Fox X-Men because they realized, oh wow, you are actually way fucking better than the garbage we're getting now. We kind of miss you. So here's the swan song.
Look, I'm just gonna make another counterpoint. Look, this movie has now helped the MCU as a franchise cross 30 billion.
It's helped. It's not saved.
No, just hear me out. This movie has now allowed the MCU to cross $30 billion. That's billion with a B. At the box office. It's the highest grossing movie franchise of all time by a long margin. And there's been 34 total MCU movies. Those 34 movies have all opened at number 1 at the box office. And now those 34 movies have combined for over $30 billion. 31 could be 31 billion by the time Deadpool and Wolverine is done with its theatrical run. That must mean, if you do the math, that the MCU averages almost $1 billion for each of its films. I'm just saying, people don't just spend money on stuff they don't like. Sometimes they do, but to the tune of $30 billion, I'm just saying, man, I'm trying to make a counterpoint out here, but the state of the MCU today is contentious to say the least. But Angelina, you saw this movie, and I have to ask you, not just your initial reaction, but let me start by kind of talking a little more on the romantic side of things, right? And what I mean by that, of course, is this movie has been touted as a love letter to the X-Men universe, the Fox X-Men universe. Do you think that is an accurate statement? Do you think this movie does a good job? Like, if you were a huge fan of Patrick Stewart, if you were a big fan of, even those other Fantastic Four movies from back in the day with Jessica Alba, Chris Evans, and all those guys, if you were a fan of that era of Marvel, even Blade, like all of those Fox movies, like, do you think that this movie did a good job of kind of wrapping it up in a bow, kind of like No Way Home did for all the Spider-Man, or even Avengers Endgame did for the Infinity Saga? Like, do you think it did a good job of that?
No, it was too much. It was so much. Like, you turned around. So at first, okay, Chris Evans, spoiler, everybody, spoiler. Also, when did I become John? Hey, do I have a name up here? So originally it was really fun to see Chris Evans back on screen. You're like, wait, is he here as Captain America? Like a weird universe got rid of Captain America, and then he realized, no, he was playing Johnny from the Fantastic Four, which was great at first because I was like, oh my God, so savage. Like, I was so excited about it. But then they did it again and again and again and again and again. And I was like, also, who the, I have literally no fracking idea who Channing Tatum was playing. Like, that accent was obsessed. It's not a massive epic tale. No, I agree with you, Ron. No, it's not a massive epic tale. It just felt like regurgitated matter and cannon fodder. Henry Cavill was great. I do agree with that. So you've got a Henry Cavill cameo. You have cameos from all different places, right? But getting back to the review, it was too much. So they break the fourth wall really early on. Ryan Reynolds likes to do that as Deadpool. That's fine. But the story doesn't really add anything to Deadpool, like the overall Deadpool scenarios. I watched the second movie, and this felt like a standalone movie as well, but it didn't really have a strong enough storyline to like ground it. He wears a toupee for a little bit. He staples it in. Like, certain parts of the movie are funny, but then they ruin it with just going too overboard. It's like a stand-up comic that has done the same material so many times that he pushes too hard on like the fifth performance. That's what this felt like throughout the whole movie. Like, he was just trying so hard to be so funny that it stopped being funny. Like, it wasn't good. I was hoping for Anya Taylor-Joy to come back as Magic and have her unite with Chloe. Yeah, we don't get any of those storylines at all from the first or second movie. You don't see it at all. The dog, that's pretty funny. You get to see like a different version of Deadpool. He's called like Nice Deadpool. But even that was like just not it. You have like a face-off moment where, again, it's just Ryan Reynolds like spewing what he thinks is like funny material, but it just tried too hard. The whole movie just felt like it was trying too hard. Also, you never really get like a firm storyline because every 5 seconds Deadpool and Wolverine are fighting each other. Like, at a certain point, like, they should have had that one big face-off fight while they were like trying to figure it out. No, they get like 4 of them. They're just constantly fighting throughout the whole movie. So it just feels dumb. It feels a little bit like Whiplash. Every time you turn around, they're introducing a new cameo. They're trying to like make jokes on like real world stuff where we've been like, ew, like they totally got rid of Elektra. Like, what did she do? You get a JG. We love Jennifer Garner. Love her so much. I loved Elektra growing up, but like,
she got stuck in an elevator for an hour at Comic-Con. Like, and she was singing just like a prayer, the Madonna song the whole time. she put in her miles for this movie.
Yeah, and I'm just like, look, I love that so much. She even makes a joke about like killing killing Ben Affleck's
Daredevil.
he was Daredevil, right? Which
Yeah,
is how
Daredevil.
they met. So like that was fun because really we got Daredevil, which introduced a version of Elektra, but then she got her own movie and it never references Daredevil. So they really tried to use this movie to like put a bow on so many different things, right? And it's hard for me to wrap my review completely around it because it's just that's how this movie went. Like it was like and I was just like I literally was just deceased. There was like 30 minutes of this movie left and I'm like, please, can it be over? Can it be over now? It was just too much. And it's only a movie for the fan. That's it. And even as a fan, it felt like too much. So audiences are loving it. People are going to see this movie, but I kind of fucking hate it. So.
Wow, that was a very visceral reaction.
Sorry.
I mean, having watched the movie, what was your favorite, cameo? Like, because it's a movie full of them, right? So, like, what was the best part of it for you?
When it ended.
Yeah, when it was over. Like,
To be fair, I have heard the credits are nice because it was like behind the scenes of all the Fox movies. Like it was like a tribute to that. So to be fair, there are a lot of people that say that the credits are actually really good because we see like it was like a in memoriam for the Fox X-Men universe. So
I think honestly, in all the moments that I thought from the trailer that were really gonna hit, they really didn't in the movie.
I will say, from what I've heard, from what I know of it, I'm glad. I'm glad Channing Tatum finally got the chance to play Gambit because he'd been trying to fucking play that character for like 10 years.
Okay, can somebody also give me the lowdown on that because I really had no idea. I was like,
Gambit is a famous X-Men character. He's a beloved, like cult X-Men character. He was on the animated series, and a lot of people really love that character. So he was in X-Men Origins Wolverine, played by Taylor Kitsch, for like 2 seconds. And then he, and it was like a really dumb cameo.
I remember this.
Yeah. Yes. And then Channing Tatum, who is a huge Gambit fan, like straight up, like his accent in the movie is his real accent. Like that is like, he had to, he was like born, I don't know if he was specifically born in New Orleans, but I know he was born down there. And he grew up with like a Cajun accent. And so when he got into Hollywood, he had to mask it because he thought he wouldn't be able to get work. Yeah. So he had to make have like a normal accent.
Was literally so thick. I was like, what accent is this?
It's a Cajun accent because that's Gambit is Cajun. So,
that's his real accent. That's
he might over exaggerated a little bit.
100% he did.
Well, yeah, but like that, like his Cajun accent is like he's had to hide it for a long time. Kind of like how Samuel L. Jackson had a lisp and he had to hide that lisp, but he brought it out for Kingsman, so there was that as well. So yeah, he and the thing is, the canceled Gambit movie actually sounded really good. There was a lot of really good directors attached.
So it was on deck, right? And then it got canceled.
It was supposed to be like a heist movie that was supposed to take place in like Louisiana, New Orleans. And it sounded like a really cool idea. Like he was going to team up with mutants. It was like I think it was like kind of be like a one last job kind of thing. And the idea sounded really good. Doug Liman was attached at one point, as well as a bunch of other really good directors, but it just never could get a footing in. And then it was eventually, Fox was sold to Disney. So, we never really got it. But I'm glad that they finally did. He finally got the role. And it's also really funny about this is, Wesley Snipes coming back as Blade, because
that was pretty bomb. He has one lane.
He's like hated working with Ryan Reynolds on Blade Trinity. So the fact that they actually brought him back and hilarious together again is really funny. I guess Wesley Snipes.
I don't feel like I didn't pick up on them referencing that. I kind of forgot that Ryan Reynolds was in Blade.
Most
I
people
forgot.
want to forget Blade Trinity.
I just forgot about it. But I don't think they ever referenced that either.
I think it was like a squabble they probably want to forget, and so they're like, "Yeah, let's not even reference it."
Oh, maybe that was like Ryan Reynolds was like, "You're not allowed to make jokes about it. We gotta keep moving on."
Or Wesley Snipes finally recognized, I'm like, I was being an egotistical douchebag. Let me not reference that at all.
Well, he does say, like, his line is probably one of the best lines in the movie. He's like, and there are obviously moments that like it hits, right? Like it really connects. You're like, oh yeah, that was funny. Like there are montages that are funny. Like there are jokes that are funny. It like you can definitely get laughs out of this. It felt like too much. Like nobody was there to check Ryan Reynolds on his fucking jokes. Like nobody other than Ryan Reynolds. It felt like the Ryan Reynolds show, and nobody else was there to like be like, hey buddy, that's actually not that funny. Like, shut the fuck up. You don't need 6 jokes in under a minute. Like, there's just
yeah, but it is Ryan Reynolds, and considering how protective he is over the Deadpool character, I feel like, you know what it might be? It kind of reminds me with George Lucas directing the prequels. Oh shit, this guy made Star Wars. We can't tell him no, even though half the reason why the original movies worked is because people were telling him, no, George, we don't have the budget. Can you fucking move on, please? Sometimes you just got to tell the geniuses no. Although using the term genius for Ryan Reynolds, and even George Lucas is
one of those days. But no, I mean, that's ultimately what it felt like. And it was just hard for me once I felt like that, because that pretty much set in like the first 20 minutes, because it just was like, you just get so bombarded like the first 10, 15 minutes of the movie. And then once that mental process set in of like, wow, Ryan Reynolds is annoying today.
Now you know how I've been feeling for the past few years. I'm kind of done
like,
with
wow, he's annoying. I can't handle it.
Yeah, I'm kind of. It's just like he just kind of annoys me now. He's just, kind of a schmuck a little bit. But whatever, people like it. If that's okay, we don't want to yuck your yum, as we were saying yesterday.
Exactly.
But I like, if people like it, they could think it's the greatest movie ever. They could just like, oh, that was enjoyable. Then by all means. Cool, that's awesome. I still refuse to see it.
That you go see just because society is like, go see it, and you should know about it, because people are going to reference it 10 years down the road and be like, remember that one movie that broke records, but it kind of sucked? We should do
yeah. People say that about Avatar.
Yeah.
It was the highest grossing movie, but nobody fucking remembers it.
Guys, I'm just saying. Think about. Okay, look, Rotten Tomatoes has a 97% audience score on this.
People are liking it.
1,000 verified ratings. And the critics' consensus is also not half bad. It's certified fresh. Now, 79% is not exactly like, 95% overwhelmingly, universally, but like 79% of 331 reviews is a good number. Like the critics' consensus, I'll read it off. Ryan Reynolds makes himself at home in the MCU with acerbic wit, while Hugh Jackman provides an adamantium backbone to proceedings in Deadpool and Wolverine, an irreverent romp with a surprising soft spot for a bygone era of superhero movies.
A bygone era. We call that the good era of superhero movies, because God knows we're not in that anymore. Hopefully James Gunn can course correct, but we can only see.
It's also like, you look at this movie and what it did for that X-Men franchise. It's sort of like Ryan Reynolds had, I think in this article or one of the other, he's said like it was like a weird feeling, but at the same time heartfelt, and just saying goodbye to like that world. That the Fox X-Men, it was weird, it was fantastic, and now it's behind us. Right? Like, Angelina, do you think that firmly put the nail in the coffin of that X-Men universe, and now we're moving forward with it? But basically the MCU and what's going to come down the road, did you feel like it kind of wrapped it up in a bow, and we're done with that now? Like, if you're firmly, it's been addressed, you get that moment, you get the nostalgia, and now are you ready to move forward with a new set of X-Men and new characters, new actors playing these iconic characters?
Yeah. Please. I was ready before that. I feel like I didn't need this movie to do that. Maybe this movie really cemented.
We're gonna see them all again in Secret Wars.
I'm like, fuck me, man. Like, I'm just like, I didn't need that. It also kind of made it sad for me, because I'm like, yeah, Jennifer Garner's still hot, but like, Just let that Elektra live, man. Let her live. Ugh, I'm stress eating. That's how that feels. I was so excited to see this movie, and it just was so fucking annoying. The movie was annoying, guys. Ugh,
It's look. All I can say is nothing you guys have said has made me any less excited to go watch it myself. And I, even as somebody who knows basically every spoiler out there, we haven't even touched upon the fact that there's like a mini Wolverine versus Hulk fight in this movie, and it's as you get
not
Johnny
really much of a
Storm.
fight, just a reference.
I mean, yeah, it's like really just a reference. Like you only see it in this montage of him like skipping around universes, trying to find. There's one. This is what I think, Dan, you might have missed it, but like there are parts of this movie that are very funny, but they just gets overshadowed by him trying harder and harder and harder to continue to be funny every 10 seconds, and it's too much. But you get this like montage scenario where he's skipping around the universes and basically getting the shit beat out of him by all of these different Wolverines. But then he walks into this bar, and then there's this like midget Wolverine, and only the Wolverine is small. He's like,
yeah, because they were joking. That's how tall he is in the comics. Wolverine in the comics is 5'3".
No, I know. Yeah,
so
yeah.
That's what he was like. Oh, comic book accurate Wolverine, you're so cute, and then he hightails it out of there.
Yeah,
that's great. That's great. That's good to know.
So essentially, you get that with the Hulk for like not
Plus,
even
I think
5
that's
seconds,
a wink.
and then he's like, "Oh, gotta go, bye."
Plus, I think that's a wink and a nod to all the people that bitched and complained for years that Hugh Jackman was too tall.
Oh no, it totally.
And then they were like, "Look how fucking stupid he looks on screen. Can you all shut up now? Just because it's comic accurate doesn't automatically make it good."
It's so funny. Is he really that small in the comics?
Yep, he's 5'3".
He's so tiny.
He's a little tiny boy. Because it's supposed to be like, oh, he has like a Napoleon complex, maybe. Like that is like part of the anger, I think. But yeah, he's a little boy. Little tiny bub. Little tiny bub.
Not quite. Yeah. Well, I mean, in Wolverine terms, yes, absolutely. But look, at the end of I keep saying this. I'm trying to bring some positivity into this review because it is a movie that continues to make money. And look, I fully address the idea that movies like No Way Home, movies like Avengers Endgame, movies like Deadpool and Wolverine, they don't need to be a perfectly told story that's going to go on to win an Oscar. You're there partly to serve. You're there to serve the fan base, and when you've got a 97% audience score on Rotten Tomatoes from over 10,000 people, and the fact this movie has made basically $500 million in just 4 days of release, it goes to tell you that they've done their job, quite simply. Now, whether and with the 79% critic score, it's not exactly perfection, but it's good. It's if not great for many people, it's probably one of the best things they've seen. And those are the kind of reactions I'm seeing online. So look, whether you guys watch this movie, whether you guys didn't see it, let us know in the comments if you were excited to see it any more so after watching this review, or if you'd rather just skip it entirely. Let us know your thoughts. This has obviously been touted as a love letter to the Fox X-Men universe. It seems like we're probably still going to get to see some of them back for Secret Wars. But there's a lot more to come. I'm sure from Deadpool in the MCU now that he is in the MCU, and of course somehow RDJ returned. So I'm sure we're going to get to see him interact with all the OGs as well as all the new Gs of the MCU. But in the comments below, let us know what you thought about Deadpool and Wolverine. How many times did you go see it? And of course, once you're done typing your comments, if you haven't already, hit the like button and hit the subscribe button as well, and hit the notification bell that will tell you when we're going live with a new show. Now, we will, on the other side of this break, dive into DCU Daily, as we do pretty much daily. But before we do that, as I have been celebrating throughout the month of July, it has been a good solid 30 years since we have had an iconic and absolutely one of the best, one of the greatest animated movies of all time come to life in a movie theater near you, and that was The Lion King. And in fact, you might be able to go to a movie theater near you today and watch its 30th anniversary special screening. So The Lion King, which of course we've had a new CGI version of it come out and make $1.5 billion, but the original still holds to this day, I think, at least in my book and in the book of a lot of other people out there, the title is probably one of the most beloved and well executed, just one of the the best animated movies of all time. And we here at Also Curious would love to celebrate that. So let's do that right now. The 30th anniversary of The Lion King. And then the other side of that, we're going to get into some DCU daily topics. We have got, the news, of course, that Superman has wrapped. And then, of course, we've got the first reviews for Batman Caped Crusader to get into. So we'll do that right after this.
You see, he lives in you. Remember.
Yep, The Lion King. Still to this day, yeah, the circle of I can listen to that all day long. And yeah, the new Lion King, the only live action shot they got was like the sunrise at the beginning was live action. Everything else was CGI because of course you can't really replicate that quite right in the computer. But it is what it is. The Lion King, of course, 30 years in, it's still you show that to a kid, show that to your pet, they'll love it. I've seen plenty of dogs and cats that stare at the screen and struggle when Mufasa falls off the cliff, and it's very sad. But then you have, of course, the circle of life. That's what the circle of life is all about. Speaking of the circle of life, we are talking about Batman Caped Crusader, and Batman Caped Crusader has had quite the circle of life all unto itself because it's seen as a sequel, a follow-up to Batman the Animated Series. Bruce Timm, one of the producers and creators of Batman the Animated Series, is back, and he's part of a team of creators that includes J.J. Abrams, it includes Matt Reeves. So they've got an all-star, cast of characters behind the scenes, which John may have different opinions about, but those guys all have a pretty deep resume for each of them. Now we have got first reviews coming out for the series. This series was, if you might remember, initially meant to be for Max, HBO Max at the time, now just known as Max. Then David Zaslav and company said, hey, we're not going to do that. We're going to instead sell this out to somebody else so we can make a little more money. And they did. And Amazon decided we're going to put it on Prime Video. And so they bought the rights to it. So now, at least I believe this is all around the world. They've got worldwide rights. So no matter where you are in the world, you will be able to watch Batman Caped Crusader starting August 1st, which is, if you're watching the show live today, then it's only a couple of days away. And if you might have already seen the new episode if you're watching this a couple of days from now, from when we are doing the show live. So let's dive into the first reviews, which are calling it, quite frankly, a solid throwback that delivers the goods and is a worthy follow-up to Batman the Animated Series. And to do that and so much more, of course, as always, I've got with me Angelina and John. Angelina, have you heard about Caped Crusader? Like, are you looking forward to this series, or is this something that you're gonna want to check out for yourself?
I was muted. Sorry, guys. I would say I'm probably not going to watch it. I'm sure I can hear enough about it from y'all. Love y'all so much for that. I have been seeing some billboards, actually. I was surprised that they had billboards up in LA, but they do. So people are excited about it. People are looking forward to it. They're throwing money at marketing. They're ready to go.
Yeah. I mean, and John, like, what are your thoughts on it? This is a series that I know you've been sort of cautiously optimistic about. But now that we're getting these first reviews, what are your thoughts?
Reviews don't mean fucking dick to me. They don't. I mean, especially, when we just got, Deadpool and Wolverine, which is just fan service, the movie, and people are like, oh my God, it's the greatest thing ever. And it's like, all right, I see where your priorities lie, type of thing. So I don't know. It's just, I want to be excited. I will say Hamish Linklater did give a better vocal performance. Seems like in the show than it was in that initial trailer, which was terrible. And like, it looks fine. Like, the animation looks pretty good. And it looks like it's something that I think some people wanted to see, like a more of a period piece Batman. But honestly, I would say just go watch or go read Gotham by Gaslight, which is probably going to be way better anyway. So I don't know. It just looks like it's just showcasing why Bruce Timm needs Paul Dini, because Bruce Timm, I feel like, just can't make anything good on his own. And this seems like it'll be the case. I want to like it. I want to be excited for it, but like nothing is like really grabbing me. And then the whole like, I don't know, just gender swapping and race swapping characters for no reason just is like I will never understand it for like no reason. And like I want to, again, like the animation looks great. Like I like the period piece style. It's just like everything surrounding this show, it just makes me not like care as much. I'll still watch it because people will probably be interested in what I think. And if I hate it, that means more rants, and that's what gets the people in the seats on the show. So, you know,
don't give away our secrets, John.
But you know, it's just like it looks at the very least like it'll be like fine. It'll be okay. We'll get 2 seasons of mediocre Batman content, and then it'll be forgotten, like with Beware the Batman. Remember that? Yeah, DC, you try to fucking forget that, but we remember that. So, you know, again, it looks cool, but I don't have a ton of high hopes for it. I don't see anything that is like, oh my god, I need to watch this yesterday. Like, I appreciate like the references to like Errol Flynn's Robin Hood or, you know, Citizen Kane, but it's like, okay, at the very most, it'll be a reference to a much better thing I could be watching, but instead I'm watching this shit. So, like, at the end of the day, I'll probably, what worst comes to worst, it'll make me appreciate the animated series even more. So I guess that'll be a good thing, right?
Hey, look, all I'm saying is here are the first reviews. And Angelina, like if you just for I'll read the one from Slash Film, right? It says it's the best piece of Batman media in a decade, a breath of fresh air in that it's attempting to tell a Batman story with creativity, care, and an eye for character. That's a pretty generic statement because I would say you could align that statement with the Batman.
Everybody's been claiming that it's the best Batman thing we've gotten since The Dark Knight. That's what everyone says about every Batman and DC project. Oh yeah, Birds of Prey and the stupidly overly long title about Harley Quinn. Yeah, it's the best DC movie since The Dark Knight. Shut up. Like, no one's gonna fucking believe you on that, all right? Calm down.
But okay, so Angelina, as somebody who isn't as closely following this as John has been, obviously. When you see somebody like Casey Chong say, but Batman Kid Crusader remains an above average animated series worth checking out. When you see something like that, does that kind of make you, because I feel like because here's my perspective on this. If I'm coming across something for the first time, TV show or movie, and I see something like, oh my God, that was terrible, or oh my God, that was amazing, that makes me want to see it, whether it's, you know, just to see how bad it was or just to see how good it was, because that's just how human nature works. But I feel like when somebody says is above average, that is almost like the kiss of death in most situations, because now you're just talking about mediocre, essentially. Mm-hmm. Like, what does that tell you? I mean, again, this is 1 out of 3 reviews on screen, and the other 2, I mean, it's a gradient. Like, one of them is like, yeah, the other one is like, it could be better, and then one of them is like, this is the best thing, you know, since sliced bread. So, like, what does that tell you? I mean, and we've been looking at the artwork from this. Are you at the very least interested in the show at this point? Would you want to check it out? It's been already renewed for a 2nd season. They actually greenlit it for 2 seasons. So not only are we getting a set of episodes now, but we're gonna also get another season after this. So it's gonna be around for some time. Like, would you want to check it out, knowing that it's got 2 seasons worth at least, if you like it?
No, but you know, that's just because I don't generally keep up with this stuff. But, you know, I'm happy to see what everybody else is thinking. I'm just not, it doesn't have anything to like draw me in. Like, I watched the live action versions of these movies, but I haven't watched these cartoons since I was like 8, if not younger. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, it's just, it's like, even as someone who watches a lot of the animated stuff, even I'm saying nothing is drawing me in here outside of the animation, which is very good. But like, guess what? The animated series also was very good, so I could just be watching that. And the period piece stuff, but like,
it's funny that you bring that up, comparing it to the animated series, because there's a few comments here that sort of make that comparison. So I'll just read off a couple of them and get your opinion on them, because like one of them from Slash Film again, Whitney Seibold says Cape Crusader expands on the 1992 series in every way, emerging as a superior show. This is the same person who said
That
this is
is
the best
never,
Batman in a
ever,
decade.
ever going to be the case ever.
Ever.
It's
That's like
also
trying to
EJ,
say-
but EJ. Okay, so but think about it. Okay, another way to look at it. EJ Moreno says that this is a spiritual successor or brother or sister, whatever, however you want to look at it, to Batman the Animated Series, kind of like X-Men '97 was to X-Men the Animated Series. Do you think like that's a fair comparison at that point? Like, do you think this is? It might not be
I don't think it's
the OG thing, but it's about as close as you're gonna
literally.
get.
If it didn't have Bruce Timm, nobody would be making these comparisons. But the fact that Bruce Timm is attached, he said that it's like, oh, it's like kind of maybe sort of maybe similar, but like that's it. The only thing that this show shares with Batman the Animator is that Bruce Timm is attached and it's starring Batman. And that's it. Literally nothing else about the shows are similar. You know, it's just like the comparisons are going to be either going to be it's death now or it's going to be, I don't know, something else. But I mean, yeah, I did say, you know, Batman the Animated Series, just like that's the cream of the crop in terms of Batman animated media. We've gotten a lot of other great ones. Don't get me wrong. Like The Batman is also really great and underrated. Batman Brave and the Bold was also really good. But, and then I think, you know, some of the, I mean, we have the animated movies like Dark Knight Returns Parts 1 and 2, Under the Red Hood, Year One, Soul of the Dragon. A lot of these animated movies are also really good, but it just, it just doesn't feel like it's doing much. And the thing is, it should be with its tone and with,
well, especially because I
period
think
piece
you know the
aspects.
cartoons came prior to the live action. You know what I mean? So it just feels like it should continue to like move further and move the storyline and push a little bit more boundaries, and it just doesn't seem to do that. It seems to continuously sort of repeat old patterns, and I don't know. It's just not giving.
Yeah, I mean, and when you look at it, it's the reviews again. They're talking about, is it just for the fans? It looks like it's not quite a love letter to the animated series, but it is trying to build on top of it. It's kind of hard to replace Kevin Conroy's iconic voice of Batman, but it's also, you know, it seems like a couple of people have talked about how maybe they could have used a few more episodes. It felt maybe a little rushed, some of the story beats. And you know, there's one here, like Whitney Seibold, of course, is the one with the overwhelmingly positive review, and they said that the storytelling is tight and efficient, whereas Elijah Gonzalez says this story needed a few more episodes to reach its full
I love
potential.
how Whitney Seibold is like, yes, this is amazing. Meanwhile, everyone else is like, I guess it's something.
It's also like, yeah, Michael Thomas, the grander themes of Cape Crusader became lost here and there. This new series delivers, but you can't help but wish it took things a tad further. So, I mean, again, we're getting into that like mediocre territory where you're just like, it's almost a case of that where if you're good and if you're so good that people just give you universal acclaim, that's, you want to be that, or you want to be like, it's so bad that it's Morbius bad, that you might just go watch it just because you want to laugh at it and just turn your brain off, or Madam Web bad. But this feels like it's sort of somewhere in the middle, which in a world of streaming, I know a lot of stuff on streaming tends to be somewhere in the middle. Do you think that this, in hindsight, now that we know like the audience reaction is coming out and stuff, that this was a good move on the part of Warner Brothers to sell it off to Amazon Prime and make some money out of it, rather than putting it on HBO Max, where if not a ton of people checked it out, this would have been all like in the red. Like they wouldn't have, like, Angelina, do you think this was a shrewd business move on the part of David Zaslav?
I don't know if I have enough background information to be able to comment on that. I don't watch these movies, so I don't watch these shows typically. These shows are definitely not marketed towards me. I don't really have any say, you know.
That's fair. John, what about you? I'm giving you a real easy, shot here at hitting a home run potentially. What are your thoughts on the business side of the move to give this to Amazon Prime, make some money out of it, rather than putting it on Max? Do you think, given the reviews, which are for the most part lukewarm, I mean, although again, some of them are saying that it really delivers, do you think it was a good idea to do what they did here, licensing it rather than putting it on their own streaming service?
I will say, part of me wants this to be successful as sort of a fuck you to David Zaslav, because David Zaslav is a fucking moron and clearly hates filmmaking as an art form, especially when it comes to animation. So that's the only reason why I want this to be successful, is because to show that David Zaslav is a fucking idiot. Outside of that, I couldn't care less. So, but that's kind of it in terms of its success. But in terms of like good business decision, I don't know. Not a businessman, but I just know that David Zaslav sucks. So we'll see. But
look, I will say this: at the end of the day, having a couple of probably hefty checks coming your way from Amazon to get the worldwide rights to this series rather than putting it on your own streaming service was probably a good move, considering that it doesn't look like this is going to be anything so groundbreaking that Warner Brothers are going to miss having the association of Max. See it on Max, like it's like
HBO original on Max, previously
on Max.
called HBO Max.
But yeah, like the show is coming out in a couple of days on August 1st. We're doing the show on July the 30th. So if you guys have already seen some episodes, drop your comments down below. If you're watching us live, of course, we had JB talking about how much he loves the Timverse series. So this is technically, I guess, maybe part of that because he's involved there. So
it's Timverse adjacent.
Okay. Well, I mean, I'm just saying he's involved. But hey, guys, this is not the end of the line here for DC Daily. Of course, earlier in the show, if you guys joined us late, you can be kind and rewind. We talked about how Superman has now officially wrapped, and James Gunn posted about it on his social media, all over his social media. So we went over that in detail. The fact that it wraps on the same day that Fantastic Four is starting up, and they're only coming out 2 weeks apart. That's huge. And now that this movie is done filming, of course, there may yet be reshoots, and they might go back and do other things, whether it's back in Cleveland. I know they have permits to go film in parts of Ohio all the way into August, so that could be where the reshoot schedule is built around. And yeah, they have a year to make this thing happen in post-production. That was something that, if you guys want to get into our opinions about it, we talked about it in detail, especially what that means for a movie that's got a $200 million budget, and it's going to need its time to get the CGI right and really dial in all the elements. So skip back and watch that there. But right now we're going to move on to some fan comments. So of course, that's you guys. You guys are so amazing. You're tuning into these shows and you're leaving us your comments. So I've been kind of teasing it all show. And Manolo, I don't know if you were in the chat right now or not, but I'd like to say something. I mean, you didn't get a notification, but you do always enjoy our content. We love that you enjoy watching the show. We love that you are showing up and rocking it in the chat and sticking with us through all the breaking news. But dude, just hit the notification bell. That's all you need. Just like, I don't know, maybe your notifications were turned off. John, like, you want to help a brother out? Like, he didn't get a notification. How, like, what does he have to do to get
that
one?
bell, bitch? Just fucking do it so we can get Dan to shut up about it. That's all.
I'm just saying. But hey, Mano, we appreciate you. We love that you're here. We love that you're watching the show, and we love that you're a part of our community. So let's keep going here. We've got a few comments to get through. We've got some really good ones today, actually. Steven Anderson, you had me cracking up for literally an hour because I read this comment and I was like, what is going on? You're like, sorry, bro, my car broke down. What does John think of the Brainiac tease?
I mean, I'm glad you care so much, but like, goddamn. I will reiterate just for you, Steven, but I don't think it's much of a tease. I think it was just, James Gunn or Nicholas Hoult. I forget who gave it to, but one of them got a comic featuring Brainiac. That's kind of it. Nothing really crazy. Would I like to see Brainiac? Maybe he's the real villain of the movie. Would I like to see that? Because Lex Luthor is tiring. But outside of that, okay, so Nicholas Hoult gave him I don't think it's actually going to be the case here. Like, I don't think it's actually going to be Brainiac. I think it's just Nicholas Hoult being nice. But would I like to see it? Yes. Like being the real villain and he doesn't want to reveal it and all that. But if that was the case, he wouldn't have, he wouldn't have shown this. So I think, I think it would be fun, but I don't think it's the case. I don't think it's a tease towards anything. But I would like to see him in a sequel because Brainiac needs to be in live action. We've gotten him enough. Get Jeffrey Combs to fucking play him again. I don't care. Oh, he's old. Fuck that. He's the best Brainiac. Give us Jeffrey Combs as Brainiac once again, please.
Dude, I would even take Peter Capaldi as Brainiac. I think like the Suicide Squad, he practically played a Brainiac-esque looking character.
Peter Capaldi could work. I know Jason Isaacs would be great.
That would be a good choice. I think that'd be good.
There was another really good one. Cillian Murphy could do a really good Brainiac. Definitely do that.
Dude, I mean, clearly he missed out on Doctor Doom. Maybe he can give us.
Give us Brainiac. He'll jump over to DC. I don't think he will.
Great Doctor Doom too.
Yeah. He seems more prestigious than that, so I don't think he'll do it. But Jason Isaacs or any one of those guys could be. You know what? We give some Matt Smith some morbid redemption after that disaster. Maybe he could be Brainiac. I could see that.
Yeah, he's already in the House of Warner, right? Like he's doing House of the Dragon. So
yeah, do that. Just get any Doctor Who actor. It'll be fine. There, you can't see it in the dark, but there it is. But
Steven, yes.
It's not much of a tease, but I would like to see him, please, in a sequel at least. So
yeah. And Stephen went on to leave a couple more comments, by the way. Stephen, you also mentioned, John, there was rumors about the writers of Alien Romulus, which is a movie that's yet to come out this year, but it's coming soon. There were rumors basically that the writers of Alien Romulus are meant to be writing Batman Brave and the Bold. And, it's something where Stephen thinks that, he's just going to hold his judgment until the movie comes out, until we get the news that is indeed true or not true. And John, you seem to not be a fan of the idea. Explain your emotions.
If that's the case, if those guys are the writers, that's going to be the worst Batman movie we would ever get since Batman and Robin. Well, 100%. If Andy Muschietti's directing and the douchebags who fucking ruined Evil Dead and the girl in the blank area franchise before it even started and what it seems to be Alien, I don't think that would be a good choice, and that would probably suck because the writers of that are terrible, terrible writers. If you don't believe me, rewatch Don't Breathe. How does a blind man kidnap a woman if he fucking can't see? Just saying. Anyway, yeah, so that would be terrible. I hope to God that's not the case. Just get John Logan, for the love of God. The man fucking wrote, he has an Academy Award. Just fucking give it to John Logan. Plus, you'll get brownie points because he's gay. It's fine. It'll be perfect. Just get John Logan. He's a great writer. He would make Batman great again, all right? So just fucking get him. Do it. Don't fucking get the douchebags who wrote this garbage. Please. Please. Just do that. Anyway, moving on.
Interesting. Okay. Well, the next comment, by the way, Angelina, John, I think you guys will both love this one. So, I really got, it put a smile on my face. And JB, you're really incredibly kind to have said this. And you were watching our show from yesterday where we were talking about is Rick Flag back in Peacemaker season 2? One of the actors from the show was thanking everybody for such a great time on set, and he tagged everybody, including Joel Kinnaman. And then later on, he removed Joel Kinnaman. But that was the news yesterday. And JB, you mentioned that, hey, thanks for reading my comment. Your live videos are some of the only long-form videos I watch all the way through. So kudos to everyone on this channel for putting out great content and opinions. Thank you so much, JB, for saying that. And also, you thought that my humor. Oh, this is in reference to a comment from the day before. So, John, I think you might have mistaken his comment for being a little more straight on.
It's hard to tell over text. I apologize
because.
My bad.
So just to give context, the day before, JB had left a comment saying that, hey, John, I know that you haven't, you said that you wouldn't watch Deadpool Wolverine because of the respect for the Logan movie. And now having seen Deadpool and Wolverine, I can say they fully respect the legacy of Logan and how special it truly is. And JB, as you explained, you seem to have been really, speaking from a place of sarcasm more so than anything else. But he did enjoy the movie. JB enjoyed the film. He still liked Deadpool and Wolverine. Angelina, what do you think about the idea of, did they respect Logan and how fitting a conclusion that was for Hugh Jackman's iteration of the character, only to then bring him back? I mean, how do you? It's almost hard to reconcile that you could do that and still have a whole movie where he's going around, on doing hijinks across the multiverse with Deadpool. What are your thoughts on that? Like the idea of they should have just left Logan alone and not brought Hugh Jackman back.
I do feel like that they explained it away pretty well. They went into the multiverse. They found a different one. It wasn't like it was our Logan that was really acting. I also felt like Hugh's depiction of Wolverine in this movie was like, I don't know, like he didn't have that anchor point of like the X-Men and like his I forget her name, like the love of his life, like wasn't there to like bring out the empathy in him. Like he didn't have a whole lot of empathy for the majority of the movie. So I don't know, it kind of felt like a different depiction of Wolverine anyway, because we got to see different sides of Wolverine like over the course of like X-Men and Logan that we don't necessarily get to see here.
Yeah, I mean, it almost feels
storyline.
Yeah, it almost feels like quite literally a world or several worlds removed in terms of the character of Logan that we saw in Logan from, was it 2015 or 2016, and basically the iteration of Wolverine we get in Deadpool and Wolverine. John, what do you think? I mean, I know what you think, but I'm just going to ask you the question anyway. Like, did this Deadpool Wolverine movie do anything to ruin the legacy of Logan and the send off that it was for Hugh Jackman as Wolverine?
Just its existence, the fact that Hugh Jackman came back at all is essentially how I believe it. When this was supposed to be a swan song for Hugh Jackman, not just Wolverine, but for Hugh Jackman, and then we just got this, Member Berries movie that's now it's probably not gonna be the last time because this made a boatload of money, and so Hugh Jackman's like, I could use another boat. Let me do fucking 5 more of these. So
he did say he had more fun making this movie than he's ever had. Almost like what his comments sounded like in terms of his experience playing the character again, after having very publicly said that he couldn't really do it anymore, like constantly putting on weight and getting into the superhero shape and what that does to his body, because he's constantly like adding tons of pounds, like, a lot of muscle to his body, and then he, you shrink down for other roles and stuff. It's a lot for him to put himself through at his age, especially after having done it for like 2 decades. Kind of similar to what Ben Affleck, but Ben Affleck very publicly was like, I'm done with the character of Batman. And then, he was like, I had the most fun. I think I finally got it. I think this was fantastic when he was, his cameo in The Flash. Do you think like all the comments that Hugh Jackman was making about how this was the best experience of his life and everything, do you think it was from a place of, oh yes, I'm ready to get back into this, I'm going to do this as long as I possibly can, or it was more it was good to be back again, but
they're giving almost $200 million, which is like the budget for a movie, to 3 guys to come back. I think they'll give a boatload of money for Hugh Jackman to be like, hey, this made $1 billion. Guess what? Guess who's not over? And Kevin Feige said we're not recasting Wolverine anytime soon. So it's pretty obvious Hugh Jackman is probably going to stay at least for a couple years longer. Or at least until the man fucking just chokes and dies on set. So, I know that's
now
dark,
you're just wishing
but
harm onto people. Come on.
I'm not wishing harm. It's just like they're probably going to keep going till this poor man is like 90 years old in a wheelchair, and they're going to wheel him out. Like David Tennant, they're going to wheel David Tennant out for the 100th anniversary of Doctor Who, because apparently no other fucking doctor matters anymore except for this one fucking guy. So we got to wheel him out. Hey guys, look, Hugh Jackman, he's still, he's still alive. And he's like, bub, and it's like, that's what it's going to be. It's going to be pathetic, but like, they got to make that money somehow.
I just love how Angelina has got complete indifference to what is clearly a very spirited opinion from John. But yeah, those are the comments of the week, guys. These are the comments that we got. Not comments of the weeks. These are the comments of the day. We'll have more to talk about, I'm sure, tomorrow on DCU Daily, and the day after, and then the day after, and then the day after that. That's what we do here on DCU Daily. So as always, guys, go out there, watch something DC related, come back and talk to us about it. Manolo, hit the notification bell. That will let you know when we go live. And hit the like button while you're at it, and then hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. But right now we're gonna move on, and it's time to finish off the show. And as we always do to end the show, we look ahead to the movie of the week the following week. Now, of course, Deadpool and Wolverine is not going anywhere, and a lot of people are probably gonna go watch it again. But let's take a step back here. There is another movie coming out next week. There's actually a few of them, but this is the biggest one of the bunch. This is the one that I looked at and I'm like, you know what? It might be worth a watch. If you have already seen Deadpool and Wolverine, if you have already seen Inside Out, if you have already seen Despicable Me, if you have seen everything else that is out there, and you just want to trap yourself in a movie theater for a couple of hours and risk yourself an experience from the Shamhammer, then you might be interested in going to watch Josh Hartnett and Trap. But my question to you guys is, do you think Trap is indeed going to be that, a trap? Because it is M. Night Shyamalan. Like, it's once upon a time touted to be the next Spielberg, and then, a laughing stock for literally a decade. He's sort of settled into a niche of his own, but he's not somebody. Basically his movies are not for everybody. But
yeah,
is Trap a movie for you, Angelina? Is that a movie that you're gonna want to watch?
You are muted.
I was eating. Sorry, guys. I've been snacking this whole show. This falls right into my lunchtime, guys.
We know you always wanted to play Brad Pitt in the Ocean's movies. Now you have. Congratulations. It's just.
Yeah, thanks. I mean, ultimately, I generally tend to enjoy his movies, but you never know. This seems cool. Seems like a little bit different. I like serial killer movies. I don't know why. I do. Big fan.
I don't know. White women love serial killers. I don't know what to tell you.
I don't think it's just white women, but
that's the cliche. I'm just saying
that's I listen to a lot of murder podcasts.
That's just my experience. Anyway,
the plot of this movie is kind of meta. Because I read up on the synopsis, and basically this guy's taking his daughter out to this concert. This concert could be some, I don't know, take your pick, Ariana Grande as Taylor Swift, whatever, the big pop star of the day. And it turns out that this whole concert is a sting by, I think, the FBI to basically draw in a serial killer and trap him and basically capture him. Too bad. We get to find out that the serial killer thereafter is Josh Hartnett's character, which is, I mean,
which
it's
may or may
really
not
interesting concept.
Which may or may not be the twist. People have said oh, is this the twist of the movie? And they revealed it in the trailer. So that's an interesting tidbit. But
why? Yeah, why give? I just wonder why they're gonna give that away in the. I mean, but then again, the last the last time we had a Shamhammer movie, wasn't it the one with Batista? The one was a Cabin in the Woods.
Yeah, Knock at the Cabin, which was pretty damn good. It wasn't perfect, but it was good. It was very good.
It was okay. It was I don't know. I'm not.
I know Old was terrible. Everyone said that was really bad. I liked Glass. I liked Split. I liked The Visit. So I feel like he's been hitting more than he's missing now. But that's just me. This looks really good, and I really like Josh Hartnett. I think he's pretty underrated.
Hey, he's back in
Hollywood. I love the trailer for this. The second trailer for this was so good. So I'm really excited for it. I genuinely think that this is going to be. I wouldn't say it's one of my most anticipated of the year, but it's definitely. Ever since I saw that first trailer, I'm like, all right, let's go. Let's fucking.
It just to me, what really appeals about this movie is the concept. I will go to watch any movie that's got an interesting concept. It's ultimately all about the execution and whether this movie executes the concept well is going to be the key to whether it's good or not. And we'll find out. But hey, that's what we're going to be doing on next week's show. We're going to be talking about Trap and whether we got trapped in a movie theater watching it, or whether it was worth the money that we spent to go out to a movie theater, buy our Deadpool popcorn bucket, and go check it out. But hey, until next week's show, it's been fantastic talking to you guys about the world of the movies, whether we are celebrating the 30th anniversary of The Lion King, whether we are talking about Deadpool Wolverine, of how good or bad it was, how it made almost $500 million in just 4 days, and of course we had to talk about Superman finally wrapping up the same day that Fantastic Four is beginning its production, and both movies come out only 2 weeks apart a year from now. So John, Angelina, it's been great. Thanks everybody for watching. You guys are dropping your comments in the live chat. If you're watching this after we have been live, then you can drop your comments down below in the comments. Hit the like button and hit the subscribe button. And Manolo, remember to hit the notification bell, because that's how you'll know that we are live, or we have a new video going up. So YouTube has a perfectly good tool for that. But hey, until next time, it's been great talking to you guys, and yeah, we'll see you on the next one, on the next episode of Oh So Curious, that is. And until then, guys, have a good rest of your week. We'll be back tomorrow with DCU Daily, and we'll see you then.